The film begins with Land Baron Bartholomew Bogue and his men terrorizing the small old west town of Rose Creek. Bogue is trying to take complete control of Rose Creek because the town has a bountiful gold mine. Meanwhile, the townspeople gather at the church to discuss what to do to defend their homes and land from Bogue.
A man with dozens of hired guns. I'll stand up to a man like that.
We will. All of us. Together.
Just sparred with what?
To Bogue.
Bought and paid for. Even got our sheriff on his payroll. This valley is ours.
I agree with Matthew. I'm with Matthew.
Then the ruthless man entered the church with several of his armed men. Bogue said that he would buy everyone's land for $20 each, which shocked the villagers, as the land was much more expensive, but there was little they could do. Bogue said that the residents of Rose Creek had 2 weeks to leave town, and if they were still in Rose Creek in 2 weeks, he would not hesitate to kill the women and children to force them to leave town. As a warning, Bogue's men then began burning churches.
Do not turn your back on the Lord! Get out!
As the residents fled, Bogue was summoned by Matthew Cullen, who asked what kind of person he was to hurt innocent people. In response, Bogue killed Matthew in front of his wife, Emma, and Bogue's men killed the other citizens in front of their families. Bogue told his men to leave the bodies where they were, and they left so that the villagers could see them clearly for a few days. A few days later, a man named Sam Chisholm, a famous U.S. Marshal, had just arrived in the town of Amador, the closest town to Rose Creek. Sam is on a mission to catch a criminal named Powder Dan, who has committed various crimes. Sam then entered a bar and asked the bartender about the criminal he was looking for.
Shot a bust head.
Surprisingly, the bartender turns out to be Powder Dan, a wanted criminal who deliberately disguises himself to hide his identity. However, he could not fool Sam, who realized early on that he was the villain, despite having changed his appearance and disguised himself as the bartender. A shootout between Sam and Powder Dan was inevitable until finally, Sam managed to defeat him, killing him. At the same time, when all the bar patrons chose to flee rather than be injured in the incident, a man named Joshua Faraday was still in his seat and watched the shooting without the slightest fear or anxiety. After killing Powder Dan, Sam finally exits the bar, explains the incident to the sheriff, and introduces himself as a U.S. Marshal. After that, Sam mounted his horse and hurried away from the city. On the other hand, Emma is also in the city of Amador with her best friend, Teddy, looking for someone who can help them expel Bogue and his men from Rose Creek. Knowing that Sam is a U.S. Marshal and has a pretty great fighting ability, Emma and Teddy explain the abuse carried out by Bogue and his men and ask him for help. Emma then handed over some money to Sam that she got from the donations from the residents, hoping that he could help the residents of Rose Creek who want to seek justice and get their freedom to live properly in Rose Creek, their homeland.
Get him on that. I need a boat.
Sacramento, farmers, not fighters.
Meanwhile, Faraday, who was about to leave the bar after collecting gambling money, was intercepted by a group of men who intended to kill him because they lost a bet with him. They then pointed a gun at Faraday. However, despite being threatened with 2 guns pointed directly at his head, he seemed so calm. He casually took out a deck of cards and showed them some card magic tricks until he finally managed to kill one of them.
Your gun on me. It's very good, Earl. Good. Pretty good. We're gonna cross paths again.
After overthrowing the delinquents and ensuring they would not bother him again in the future, Faraday hurried away from the place. He intended to buy a horse but did not have enough money. Surprisingly, Sam appeared in front of him along with Emma and Teddy. He buys the horse and says that he will give the horse to Faraday for free if Faraday is willing to help him carry out a mission in Rose Creek. Without thinking, Faraday immediately agreed to Sam's request, especially after Sam gave him some gold coins in return.
You and me?
On the way, Sam asked Faraday and Teddy to go to a small village and met a man named Goodnight Robichaux, a former Confederate soldier with very good shooting ability feared by his enemies. While Faraday and Teddy meet Goodnight and ask him to join him on the mission at Rose Creek, Sam and Emma will head to the forest to recruit a man who is Sam's acquaintance and has pretty great fighting skills. Arriving in the forest, Sam and Emma went straight to a cabin in the middle of the forest. However, Sam was surprised when he learned that his acquaintance had died because he was killed by a criminal named Vasquez. Since Sam has no problem with Vasquez, even though Vasquez has killed his acquaintances, Sam then offers to join their team on a mission to remove Bogue from Rose Creek. Knowing that he would be rewarded with many gold coins if he successfully completed the mission, Vasquez immediately accepted Sam's offer. Elsewhere, Faraday and Teddy finally arrived at the village they were aiming for. They witnessed the skill of a man named Billy, who could kill his opponent with a dagger he threw from a considerable distance.
My gun.
Hearing Sam's name, Goodnight immediately said that he was willing to help them carry out their mission in Rose Creek. Even Goodnight also invited Billy, who turned out to be his traveling companion. After leaving the village, they continued their journey until they finally reunited with Sam, who had recruited Vasquez. They had to travel at least 4 days on horseback to reach Rose Creek. While resting in an abandoned hut, Sam and his companions were approached by 2 men who offered them rifles. The 2 men say that the rifle is the weapon used by Jack Horn, the legendary assassin. But then, one of the men was suddenly killed after someone shot him from a considerable distance. Not long after, Jack Horn arrived at the scene and looked furious that his rifle had been stolen. Seeing Jack's shooting ability, Sam is interested in recruiting him. After that, he accepts Sam's offer to join their team with no work or activities to do. That night, Sam and his companions decided to spend the night on the hill that borders the Comanche tribe's residential area. Sam and Goodnight seemed to have known each other for quite a while because he didn't hesitate to tell Goodnight about his past. The next day, while getting ready to continue their journey, Sam and his companions were surprised by the appearance of a young Comanche warrior named Red Harvest, who decided to join them.
What'd he say? Said he's with us.
After a long journey, they finally arrived at Rose Creek. But, before entering the city, Sam asked his comrades to disperse and occupy the right position to attack Bogue's men guarding the city. As Sam enters Rose Creek, he is confronted by Sheriff Harp and Bogue's right-hand man, McCann, who immediately tells Sam to put his gun on the ground. Even though McCann tried to intimidate him by saying he had 22 armed men ready to kill anyone who made a fuss in Rose Creek, Sam did not heed the threat. After confirming that Faraday and the others had taken their respective positions and were ready to attack McCann and his men, Sam provoked McCann's anger, so he summoned all his men. However, before McCann and his men launched an attack, Sam and his comrades immediately demonstrated their skills in shooting very quickly and on target. Because of that, McCann's men seemed overwhelmed by Sam and his comrades until finally, one by one, they died. While they displayed excellent shooting skills, Goodnight looked so nervous and anxious that he had not fired a single shot. Even when dealing head-on with the enemy standing in front of him, he seemed to have a hard time pulling the trigger.
Come on, shoot him. Take the damn shot.
Seeing that, Faraday and Billy try to help Goodnight to shoot his target. Goodnight turns out to be experiencing post-traumatic stress disorder after the war he faced while still a Confederate soldier. Realizing that the trauma he experienced could threaten the success of their mission, Goodnight tried to get up and get rid of the trauma. After killing all of McCann's men, Sam ordered Sheriff Harp to tell Bogue that he and his comrades would save the residents of Rose Creek from the cruelty and oppression of Bogue and his men.
Hey, damn Chisholm. Say it.
On the other hand, Emma called the residents to gather and welcome the arrival of their saviors, Sam and his comrades, who are now nicknamed Magnificent Seven. Although it is undeniable that Magnificent Seven has very great abilities, the residents of Rose Creek still seem to feel pessimistic that Sam and his comrades can defeat Bogue and his famous sadistic men. Upon learning that, Sam delivered a speech in front of the residents and gave the residents of Rose Creek a choice, whether they would stay and defend their hometown with all their soul and body or leave the city because they think about each other's safety. Some of them decided to leave the city because they didn't want to get involved in a battle that might cost them their lives. But, most of Rose Creek's residents, including Emma and Teddy, choose to remain in Rose Creek and fight for their freedom and property, even if their lives are at stake. Knowing that they only had 7 days before Bogue and his men arrived in the city, Sam and his comrades devised a plan, including training the residents to use the weapons they would use in battle. While Billy teaches the citizens to fight with knives, Faraday and Sam train the citizens to shoot right on target.
That's it.
You gotta hate what you're firing at!
After that, the Magnificent Seven launched an attack on Bogue's gold mine, killing all his men guarding the place and freeing the slaves. Inside the mine, they find many bombs, and Sam intends to use them in their mission to defeat Bogue and his men.
Dynamite? My place? Well, why my place?
Meanwhile, in Sacramento, Sheriff Harp finally arrives at Bogue's residence and delivers a message from Sam.
Seven?
They fought like 3 times that in this boat.
Bullshit.
Prudent army. Go back with us.
Hearing this, Bogue suddenly became very angry and took his anger out on Sheriff Harp by killing him. Bogue then orders his Comanche enforcer, Denali, and McCann, to gather as many men as possible, arm them to defeat Magnificent Seven, and retake Rose Creek. The next day, Sam assigns Billy to stand guard on top of the church tower to monitor Bogue and his men, while the others are asked to help the citizens set up traps around town as the first line of defense, as Bogue will surely bring more men to retake Rose Creek. A night before Bogue's arrival, Goodnight, haunted by his experiences in the Civil War and fearing his own death if he kills again, decides to leave the town, and Emma volunteers to take his place.
I need you.
Sam then asks Faraday and the others if they still want to continue the mission or follow in Goodnight's footsteps. Sam gave them a choice because he didn't want to force his will on anyone, and everyone had the right to determine their own path in life. Surprisingly, Faraday and the others decide to continue the mission with Sam to save the Rose Creek residents.
Be in the service of others. Well, I shouldn't have to ask for more than that.
The next morning, Sam, his companions, and the residents of Rose Creek had prepared to face Bogue and his men, estimated at up to 200 people. Bogue's army attacks Rose Creek, with most of them quickly getting killed by various traps, bombs, and ambushes prepared by Sam and his comrades. A fierce battle was inevitable, where Magnificent Seven members showed their respective abilities and succeeded in slaughtering Bogue's men with the help of the citizens. The war strategy devised by Sam and his companions proved quite effective because they managed to defeat most of Bogue's men and kept the number of casualties from the population to a minimum. When the battle was still fierce enough, Faraday, who was about to head to the location where he would carry out his next plan, was suddenly attacked by Bogue's men and was shot in the stomach.
Went open! Far so good! Drop!
However, before they could kill Faraday, Vasquez, who saw his comrade was in danger, immediately fired shots at the enemy and killed Bogue's men. At the same time, Goodnight appears before them and helps Magnificent Seven defeat the remaining rogues' men while telling Sam and the others that Bogue still has enough mercenaries and a Gatling gun ready to kill them all. Soon afterward, Bogue and his remaining men start firing the Gatling gun from a hill leading into the town, killing many of the townspeople and even their own mercenaries. Realizing they are outgunned, Magnificent Seven evacuates the survivors to the burnt-out church and mount a last stand. In the attack, Jack tries to protect the injured Teddy from a Gatling gunshot. After making sure Teddy is in a safe place, Jack is attacked by Denali instead, and he is eventually killed.
And to keep all that is good!
Denali then enters a building where Emma and one of the residents hide. However, before he could kill her, Red Harvest arrived at the place and immediately killed him. In the meantime, Faraday, who plans to destroy the Gatling gun, asks Sam to protect him as he runs towards the location of the Gatling gun. On the other hand, Goodnight and Billy decide to help Faraday and Sam by distracting Bogue and his men by shooting Gatling guns at them until both men die. Faraday finally arrives at the place, determined to blow himself up to destroy the Gatling gun while killing Bogue's men.
Dynamite.
With only 2 of his men left, Bogue headed for the city and ordered them to inspect every building in Rose Creek. Shortly afterward, Sam confronts them and easily guns down the 2 remaining mercenaries before disarming Bogue by blasting the gun out of his hand.
Pick it up!
A wounded Bogue retreats into the church, where Sam reveals that his family was killed in 1867 by ex-Confederate soldiers, who were hired by Bogue to drive homesteaders out of Kansas. After imploring Bogue to repent, Sam begins to garrote him. Then, Bogue tries to pull a hidden small-caliber, top-break revolver, but Emma shoots him dead.
Don't say it.
In the end, the townspeople return to Rose Creek and thank Sam, Vasquez, and Red Harvest for their service as they ride off. Later, Faraday, Goodnight, Billy, and Jack Horn are buried near the town and honored as heroes. If you enjoyed this video, don't be shy, hit the like button, and if you disliked it, hit the dislike button twice just to be sure. You should watch the full movie. Thank you very much for watching.